All right, good day. It is July 17, 2023. Just doing another update. It's been a little while, so I thought it's a good time to do it. So if you're landing on this video from a link, perhaps it might be that you got an auto reply. If you're inquiring into um, feature requests or bugs that we just can't touch until this is done, then this is probably why you're listening to this now. Or you're just curious about how the development's going. So here's what's going on. So as I've mentioned in the previous update, um, the rewrites of the payment APIs was underway. There's been retooling of the Stripe API a little bit because we need to move it up to the latest version and making a few changes to the client side of that so it kind of conforms to the new methodologies that they are. I don't want to say imposing, but they kind of are. Um, so in doing that work, it became very apparent also that there's many other parts in the API that are kind of using really old, outdated code. Not that it won't work, but like the whole thing is still using the .NET framework instead of .NET Core. So I I realized that it's also the right time to strip all that out, move the whole thing to .NET Core and get that implemented so that we can also Dockerize the whole application and easily scale it up and down. It's really the way it needed to be done even a while ago, but back then I was kind of like, well, there's too many other things to do. But I just realized, if you don't do it now, you're just gonna that same excuse is gonna keep coming up because you're gonna say it's there's too many things going on and we're too busy. So you have to just do it now before you go writing a whole bunch of new code for things like auto pay and all that, which are already partially done, and even the payment APIs are partially done. So I thought, do it now, get it done before it becomes a bigger problem. So that actually is done. It took about a week and a half to do the code refactoring to .NET Core because it's not really that different. You can take a project and move it to .NET Core from .NET Framework without that much difficulty. It's just a bunch of you just got to go through all the code and just make a few changes here and there. But I also wanted to standardize all the namespaces of the API, um, just again to make for future development sake to make it a little bit more standardized and easy to navigate. Which then, of course, requires a few changes on the front end part of it, the JavaScript code. So the API end of it is basically done. I'll probably make a few tweaks to it still, and I'm now going through the front end code, which means I'm also testing at the same time each of the user interface um, pages for each part of the app. And most of that already is working, and I'm as I'm working it in dev and stage here. But it's gonna take a little while here to go through all that code and or I should say, go through all those pages, just make sure they're all working perfectly fine with this new API version and everything. So my main part of this update is all of those features slash bugs are on hold. They're not really on hold because many of them are being fixed as part of this refactoring. Anything that I can fix as part of the code refactoring, I'm just doing it now. So some of those will be. I don't think it's going to have autopay in it when I release it because I'm going to be releasing it probably pretty soon. So, but that would probably be very shortly after. The code for like the Stripe integration updates is probably going to be included in this release because it just makes sense. If you're going to go doing all that, you might as well go ahead and put the new, snap in the new Stripe stuff too while you're at it. So I would say that it will in terms of the front end work and the testing, probably 3 to 4 weeks of good solid work to get that all squared away. So I would say to look for probably a release in that time frame. I don't want to give any kind of hard ETA. If I can give one, if I'm close enough where I can do it pretty safely, I will because I just know like things can you can suddenly something comes up and you're like, oh man, this was a bigger problem than was initially thought. That happens too. So look, we're looking at a month, let's say a month, right, before that release. So we're looking at, let's say, mid-August. So will now the question will be like, so will you notice anything different when it's released? A little bit, but because there will be some front end stuff. Mostly, I think what will be noticed is maybe a little bit of a performance increase. It should be a little more stable if you're having any issues with certain functionality that will have been tested. So my hope is that the release will just make it a much more solid um, platform with less bugs, and then it gives us a point then to move forward and then start tackling any of the outstanding bugs and feature requests that are there. Right now, there's just so much chaos because you're trying to snap in a little fix to something, but really it's not the fix because it's a deeper problem, and you're just kind of going deeper and deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole where how are you going to get out of that at some point? So at this point, what I realized was you're going to have to just put the brakes on for a minute, get this code all refactored, reorganized, get the namespaces all straight, so that when you're adding or doing some kind of a new feature of any kind, it should be very straightforward. You should be able to do a code branch, create a branch, work on it. If you need to work on something else, make another branch, and then that way you don't have to tell people that, oh, I can't release that bug fix until all this stuff is done, because you realize it's going to affect everything else. So that is the whole purpose behind doing it this way. You want to have it so it's really solid. Your baseline code base it works perfectly fine, and then you have feature branches whenever you want to release something new, and you work on that branch of the code. If you need to do another release, you can do that separately. So anyway, I don't want to get too. I wanted to keep this pretty short, so I'm up to 7 minutes here. Let's just conclude it here. I will. I'll just touch base again, but again, I do these because I want to let you guys know that there's work ongoing all the time, every single day, more hours than you can imagine, and what is coming out is going to be a lot better. So just sit tight and be a little bit patient for this next release, and then I think we'll be in really good shape to just start moving forward really much more at a much faster pace with getting all the little things out that you guys have been asking for. So I'll update you again soon. Once again, thanks for your patience and everything, and I really appreciate that. And we'll talk to y'all soon.